Peace and blessings. Now let's get straight into it. Now this is going to be part 4 of, are the Jewish people the Israelites of the Bible? This is a question that needs to be examined because everything that we are taught in this society, it really needs to be questioned. Okay, everything that is so-called common knowledge, it really needs to be put to the test. And specifically speaking here, the people that call themselves Jews or Jewish today, which is commonly accepted, we need to see if this is actually the truth, right? We need to see if this holds on any strong foundation in historical and biblical proof. We've done that within the first 3 parts, but let's continue. Because of the war that's going on, or technically right now at the time I'm recording, this is supposed to be a so-called ceasefire in the Israeli and Palestinian conflict or wars that's going on over there in Gaza City. We need to see, this so-called Israeli-Palestinian conflict has kind of brought my attention back to these people because of some of the propaganda that's going on out here. So let's get straight into it. Now it says right here, what I have here on the screen is U.S. foreign aid to Israel. See what this article says. It says this report provides an overview of U.S. foreign assistance to Israel. It includes a review of past aid programs, data on annual assistance, and analysis of current issues. All right. So it says here, Israel is the largest cumulative recipient of U.S. foreign assistance since World War II. Wow. So Israel is the largest recipient of foreign assistance. So the U.S. has given the most assistance from a monetary standpoint to the state of Israel since World War II. Why is that? Because Israel is bankrolling all of the different things that we see in the society. They are really the so-called Jewish are really the people, the puppet masters behind the scene. That's exactly why. And they're all in cohorts together. Okay, the U.S. and Israel, it's just one and the same, really. They're all one of the same of being a part of the wicked seed line of Esau, the Edomites. All right, that's what it is, and they know it. So, they're in bed together. That's what I'm getting at here. They're in bed together. All right, it says successive administrations working with Congress have provided Israel with assistance reflective of robust domestic U.S. support for Israel and its security, shared strategic goals in the Middle East, a mutual avowed commitment to democratic values, and historical ties dating from U.S. support for the creation of Israel in 1948. So we're expected to believe that these people are the original inhabitants of this land, but they tell you that this state of Israel was created in 1948. Okay. But it says to date, the United States has provided Israel $158 billion, current or non-inflation adjusted dollars, in bilateral assistance and missile defense funding. Wow. At present, almost all U.S. bilateral aid to Israel is in the form of military assistance. From 1971 to 2007, Israel also received significant economic assistance. Wow. So it just goes to show you that there has to be something going on. Why is the U.S. committing to giving Israel so much assistance? Why? There has to be a reason for it, especially when we talk about numbers this big, 158 billion. I mean, sometimes you could see a number like 158 billion and you don't really fathom how much this is. Like, it's 100,000 millions. You know what I mean? Like, this is a lot of money that the U.S. is providing to Israel for support. So we're going to get more into why it's obvious here that these things are going on from a scriptural standpoint and from a historical standpoint, and just what's really going on the back end here. So let's go back to this Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And let's get some more on why it's obvious to me that these people are not the Israelites of the Bible. All right. They don't even call themselves Israelites. You notice that? They call themselves Jewish because really they're trying to let you know that they don't associate with the man that's named Israel. All right. When you have an Israelite, that means that you are a descendant of Israel. All right. When you have that "ite" suffix there, that means that you are belonging to the stock of that original man. All right, a Hamite, Japhite. It means that you descend from the man named Ham or the man named Japheth. Okay, an Israelite. If you're an Israelite, you descend directly from the seed line of the man Israel. So why do they not call themselves Israelites? They call themselves Jews or Jewish. It's because they know that they are not actually related, or they don't actually descend from the man named Israel. Okay, I'm actually just start here. It says background. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict dates back to the end of the 19th century. In 1947, the United Nations adopted Resolution 181, known as the Partition Plan, which sought to divide the British Mandate of Palestine into Arab and Jewish states. Here's the date. On May 14th, 1948, the State of Israel was created, sparking the first Arab-Israeli War. Okay, so in May 14, 1948, that's when Israel was created, the State of Israel known today. And I think a lot of people do not realize that Israel has not been there that long at all, relatively speaking. Okay. It says here the war ended in 1949 with Israel's victory, but 750,000 Palestinians were displaced, and the territory was divided into three parts: the State of Israel, the West Bank of the Jordan River, and the Gaza Strip. So these people have been getting into it, what they saying, since this time, the quote unquote Israelis and the Palestinian people. So these Palestinian people were already there. Okay. And the quote unquote Israelis, or the quote unquote Jewish people, they forced their way in after World War II, which is what World War II was even all about. Anytime you have a war, there's a reason behind it. People do not go into war for nothing but, resources and things of that nature. All right. It's never over the things that they claim it is on the front end. All right. Like fighting for freedom and all that. It's always over something else. But anyways, the point I'm bringing up here with this Israeli and Palestinian conflict is to show here in the scriptures is just does not align with here in the scriptures, it doesn't align with the people and the actions that are happening today. Let's get 2 Samuel chapter 7 and verse 10. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel. Okay, so this is the Most High, or God speaking here through the prophet Nathan. He says, moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel and will plant them, meaning put them there in the land, that they may dwell in a place of their own and move no more. So these people forced their way in. It wasn't the Most High planting them in there. The Most High has control of everything, obviously. But what I'm saying is it wasn't of direct divine, placement that they're there. Okay. It hasn't came to that time yet. And the reason I say that is because here it says, neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them anymore as before time. So if these people, the Jewish people, quote unquote Jewish, are the people known in the Bible as the Israelites, or where it says my people Israel, then they would not be at war. Once they dwell in this place, they shall move no more. All right, there won't be a debate on that. Let's get the book of Amos, chapter 9 and verse 15. And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be pulled up out of their land, which I have given them, saith the Lord thy power. Let's get verse 14. And I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, meaning the Most High will take away the captivity of the people of Israel. Well, I mean, that's the thing, too. So are the people called Jewish today, are they in captivity? So in the end times, there will be a fulfillment of prophecy where the last captivity would end. Okay, that's why Yahushua, or Christ, who the world calls Jesus Christ, that's the reason that he has to come back in the first place, is to lift up captivity. If there is no captivity, then those people cannot be the people of the book. You know, are they in captivity right now? Would you say the Jewish people are in captivity right now because they manufacturing these wars, so-called wars? No, they are not. They have far too much autonomy. Okay, they got their own schools. They're receiving reparations, okay, from a so-called Holocaust. They got their own land. They're very successful in business endeavors, in banking, in the entertainment industry. That doesn't sound like captivity to me. Matter of fact, that sounds like rulership that needs to be displaced. All right, so it says, and I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, and they shall build the waste cities and inhabit them. So when the children of Israel, when they go back into the land, they will have to build the waste cities and inhabit them. So was that already fulfilled, or that, that's something that remains to be fulfilled? I'll let you answer that. And they shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof. And they shall also make gardens and eat the fruit of them. So, that place is a waste city. The land of Israel right now, that is the waste city. Okay. Now let's get this. This is the book of Baruch, chapter 2. And then let's start at verse 29. If ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them. So our people are scattered, the real children of Israel. And I don't like saying real children of Israel because, you don't have to clarify what was real, but the actual children of Israel, unlike what's taught to us today, they're going to be scattered among the nations, okay, not in a land and known by all nations, okay. Verse 30, for I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. Hold on. So are these people in the land of their captivities? Who is their captor then? Who are they under captivity under? The quote unquote Palestinians? No, they don't rule over them. Them people just, ticked off that they still trying to take over their land. And that's at least the story that they give us. I'm not saying the average person ain't, but when it comes to a large scale of what's actually going on, you can never take the story that they give you. It's always something more going on the back end. I promise you that. But they shall remember themselves. Did these people remember themselves, or are they just fabricated themselves? All right, verse 31. And shall know that I am the Lord their power, for I give them a heart and ears to hear. Verse 32. And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name. So in the last days, when the children of Israel, they start waking up, okay, be thinking themselves in the land of their captivity, they shall praise the Most High in the land of their captivity, okay? That's not happening right now, okay? And think upon my name. These people are not in captivity, man. Verse 33, and return from their stiff neck. And you see, the people that call themselves Jewish today, leave it up to them. They follow the Torah and everything else, return from their stiff neck. Are they stiff necked people? They just doing what they want to do. Our people are the stiff necked ones. That's why we still have captivity right now. That's why we're still under the curses. At least those that do not believe in Christ are still under the curses. Why? Because we're stiff necked people. Excuse me, a stiff necked people. The Most High is talking about us, not them. And from their wicked deeds. According to them, they're not wicked. Now, that's what's interesting, too. You can say fact upon fact about the so-called Jewish people and the things that they own and, the stuff they got going on right now. And they'll be like, oh, that's just a stereotype and that's anti-Semitic. No, I mean, man, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers and stuff, man, they have documented wicked deeds. Okay? Documented. But of course, that's all under the rug. But our people, it's known that we be going off. So what I'm getting at there is they act like they ain't doing nothing wicked right now. This is talking about us. That's where I'm getting at. Okay. For they shall remember the way of their fathers which sinned before the Lord. Verse 34, and I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. So this does not match the people today. All right. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them to be their God, and they shall be my people. And I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. Okay. In parts 1 through 3, I went over other scriptures as well in the book of Ezekiel to show that our people will be at peace and once we are placed back in the land. All right. And I remember, people in the comments in the first and second installment, and of course in the third, complaining about so-called race. Well, that's part of it. It's a sea line thing. So people say that the Israelites are black and things like that. It's a sea line thing. What I mean by that is the Israelites have a complexion that you would call today so-called black, but it's not their black, which makes them Israelites. Is they're Israelites, and a byproduct of that is a complexion that our people have is, so-called black or brown skin. Really, if we talk about skin, just brown skin, different shades of brown. Okay, that's a byproduct of the sea line. And what I'm saying here is that black is not a race. Okay, that's why there's no black land. There's no black language. There's no black culture. Yeah, that's right. There's no black culture. All right. All you have is the Bible, which gives us an actual culture, an actual language and an actual land. Those things actually pertain to a people, in history, a heritage. All right. Not a color that gives you none of those things. But let's see what we have here. Behold, this is the second president of Egypt, Gamal Nasser. See what he says. He was referring to the so-called Jewish. He said, you will never be able to live here in peace because you left here black and came back white. So, why did this president in 1952 of Egypt, why did he say that? Because he understood that the original Israelites that lived in the land, they were what we would call today so-called black. And then they were displaced, all right, because of the diaspora. They were displaced, put into captivity. And then the new people claiming to be Israelites were so-called white. He already understood that. Okay, just like Hitler did. Now, Hitler, in this book here, which is called The Nazis, World War II by Robert Edwin Hertzen, I have this book. I have a physical copy. I didn't bring this out last time in the first 3 installments, but if you have this book, you can get a copy of this, like on Amazon or anything like that. And I would suggest having it, just for some physical evidence here. But what we see, if you look at this picture here, this part actually it's a little bit cut off. I didn't realize it was kind of cut off here, but oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, so right here, this brother, this is a so-called black man. You can clearly see that. This is clearly a Hamite. It says Hamilton. This says Oriental. And then this right here says bastard. All right, now let's look at the caption. It has it in the book. It says, in one segment of a Nazi instructional film, the genetic heritage of the Jew is purportedly traced to Oriental Negro, Near Asian and Hamitic peoples. Hence, the film concludes the Jew is a bastard. From the book The Nazis World War II by Robert Edwin Hertzen. So over there in Nazi training camp, they were being taught, and Hitler knew that the so-called black man was actually the so-called Jew. And I'm saying so-called Jew because of the connotation that comes with that word today. But the so-called black man is a Jew. Okay. And what it says here, for the people that call themselves Jewish, they are the bastards. Okay. That's what Hitler said. I mean, I think he would know, right? So speaking of being so-called black, let's look at this old news article here. And I may have brought this out in a previous lesson. I'm not sure. But it says African Hebrew in New Haven, Connecticut in 1897, a colored Hebrew. I can read this, but they actually put it kind of plainly under this. A Negro mute who writes the Lashawan Kadash. He says he comes from a tribe of about 20,000 black Hebrews in Africa. A wonderful story. But again, it's kind of tattered here. This is the original post. So this is actual history documented. Okay. But let's get the excerpt here from this newspaper archive. It says a colored Hebrew. Okay. And Lashawan Kadash is referring to the original Hebrew, the Paleo Hebrew, the ancient Hebrew, the holy tongue. That's what that means in English, the holy tongue, the set apart tongue, the original tongue. Okay. The Lashawan Kadash. All right. But it says here, a few days, a young African Negro who claims to be Hebrew. He is deaf and dumb and black as an ace of spades. That's messed up. All right. Talking about this young brother, talking about, yeah, black as an ace of spades. Golly, that's black. But anyways, I was just playing. He came here from New Haven and is trying to accumulate enough money to go back to Africa. From what he represents, okay, I didn't read this before. It's kind of going off. I don't know why the words are so tattered. Let's see what we can get from this, though. When it cites the most wonder is that he writes Lashawan Kadash very rapidly. So the people that call themselves Jewish today, they do not write in the original Hebrew. That's something to keep in mind, something to kind of ponder on. If you're someone that believes that the so-called Jewish people today are the descendants of the Israelites, so why don't they speak in the original tongue? Why do they speak in a Hebrew that was invented later on? Doesn't really make any sense. But anyways, so this young man, this young boy, what they call young African Negro, Negro, he claims to be Hebrew. He is Hebrew. Okay, and he can read and write the Lashawan Kadash, or the original Hebrew, very rapidly. It is the language of the book of Moses and is made a special study of, spoken and written in ease only by the rabbis and highly educated Hebrews. Himself, he's a highly educated Hebrew, or at least he He can speak and write Hebrew. This Negro was sent to one of the rabbis in Hartford who was perfectly satisfied that he is a Hebrew. He says that he came from a large town in Africa where there is a tribe of about 20,000 black Hebrews who speak Lashawan Kadash and are quite prosperous. He also says that his father is a rabbi in that town, and that is why his father took the trouble to teach him and write these languages, which need an extra amount of labor on account of him being deaf and dumb, according to them. Okay, so the point is that this young man, and this is all the way back in 1897, here in New Haven, Connecticut, you had a young boy who they claim to be deaf and dumb that could speak the original language. Why is that? And he also said that he comes from a town at this time of 20,000 other so-called black people that spoke Hebrew because they knew who they were. This is still the time where you had collections of so-called black people that knew they were Israelites. Okay. Now in this time, we all forgot who we were until the Most High started opening, our understanding. But this is actual history. So, this kind of conflicts with the history we're taught today, right? Of who were the Israelites or not. All right. Speaking of, it says here in this core entry, why do Israelis not call themselves Israelites? That's a good question, because if we read in the Bible, it uses the term Israelites. All right. But the so-called Jewish people, and keep in mind, Jew is short for Judah. So Jew is just a by name for one tribe of Israel. There's 12 tribes, and Jew is short for Judah. So all of them of the tribe of Judah that call themselves Jews or Jewish, why ain't nobody repping Ephraim or Manasseh or, any of the other 12 tribes? Nobody call themselves, Reuben or any other tribes or something else. But this guy here, he lives in Israel, so he should have an answer. He says, actually, we call ourselves Israelium. Hebrew is different from English. How you call someone is probably different from how he calls himself in his native language. Well, in the native language of Israel, you could still call yourself an Israelite in Hebrew if that's what you believe that you were. Okay. So this book illustrator, Marbalet Irene, so they probably have an answer too. Let's see. We call ourselves in Hebrew in our own language. Naturally, it sounds different. Jews call themselves Yehudi, as written on our identity card. Identity card. Jews with Israeli citizenship call themselves Druze as a nationality, and their citizenship is Israeli. So it is with the Arabs. There are non-Jews with citizenship who call themselves Israelis abroad and within the country if they need to resolve any issue with the embassy at any level of citizenship. So just a bunch of excuses talking about our original language and Hebrew. Look, if they spoke the Lashawan Kadash, they would call themselves Israelites in the Lashawan Kadash. Okay. But they don't. So that's just one subtle way of understanding that these people are not the people of the book, man.
Okay, so Gold Hunter retired. Looks like he's saying the same thing that I was saying. It says here, yes, certainly there is a reason and a difference. And remember, we're referring to why do Israelis not call themselves Israelites? Okay, so Gold Hunter retired here. He says an Israelite is a descendant of Israel, a particular person who was the physical ancestor of the 12 tribes called the children of Israel. And an Israeli, on the other hand, is a citizen of the state of Israel as it currently exists. Israelis are not necessarily descendants of the biblical Israelites, although many are. Nope. Well, I mean, I guess you could be if we could have some brothers and sisters there in Israel, but no, other than that, no. Israelis can be in any ethnicity or religion, and the modern state of Israel is a democracy, which, although it does have a state religion, Judaism, see, the Bible doesn't give you the religion known as Judaism. That was created by man. Okay, that's why it's not in the Bible. We can't look that up where Christ told everyone to be a part of Judaism, or the Most High told us to be a part of Judaism. Okay. The law has been around before there was ever even a tribe of Judah, let alone, this religion known as Judaism. Okay. Okay. So it says practices freedom of religion, and citizens of Israel or Israelis might be Jewish or Muslim or Christian or any other faith or none. Israeli is equivalent of American. It is a citizenship, not an ethnic or religious identity. So you see, you have these people that are parading around acting like there's a link between being called an Israeli or living in the state of Israel or calling yourself Jewish today, but really, it's not. All right. Israelite is an ethnic or religious identity. It is also a designation attached to the tribes comprising the northern kingdom, also called Samaria. That's true too. Israelite. Israelite could be talking about all 12 tribes, not just the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom too. But many times in the scriptures, you will see Judah representing the southern kingdom and Israel representing the northern kingdom. Okay, modern descendants of the ancient Israelites are now known as Samaritans. No, not necessarily. Or if descended from the southern kingdom, as Jews. Like I said, it's interchangeable, but there was some truth to this post here. Basically, I read a lot in study, and I take Judaism seriously. Well, that's good. At least you know there's a difference. So, yeah, the people there in that land that call themselves Jewish, they are just, practitioners of Judaism. It just has a similar name, but they are not the biblical Israelites. That's why they never claim it. You never hear them talk about the history, really, and we're going to go more into that now. Actually, let's go into that now. It says here, Judaism, Jewish history, and anti-Jewish prejudice, an overview. Okay, this is the person writing this article, Mika Uhabia, who, as we see here, Miss Mika Uhabia, she's a scholar of late antique Judaism, feminist, Jewish, Black Lives Matter, say her name, abolish ICE. Dang, abolish ICE. I didn't know that was a thing. Wow. So y'all just don't want nobody, that is over here illegally to be deported back anyways. Feminists. You'll see a lot of times with the so-called Jewish, they're always, not always, but most of them are on the left hand. I mean, they're on the left hand path too, but they're on they're leftists, meaning liberals. So they always hit you with the Black Lives Matter or something like that because it's in their blood to try to manipulate so-called black people. They only do this stuff so that way when there's a war going on, like it is now, or at the time I'm recording, it's supposed to be a ceasefire or whatever. When there's a war or something going on where they need our vote or they need our plight, they can say, "Hey, I had Black Lives Matter in my bio. I'm a feminist. I'm with you guys. So you got to be with me too." So she calls herself a Jewish. A Jewess, meaning a female Jew. Yeah, right. Look at her. No. It says, who are Jews? What is their history? What motivates anti-Jewish prejudice and violence? So that's another thing. So the so-called Jewish people, they have successfully created an invisible enemy. What I mean by that, they act like people hate them and they have all this violence and prejudice, but really, no one really cares about them. Not any more than anybody else. Everyone gets made fun of. All groups of people get made fun of. Nobody's really checking for the so-called Jewish. So they have jokes. People make jokes about the so-called Jewish people, but it's no different from the Italians, Mexicans, or anyone else. If the Mexicans acted like that, I mean, they get called all type of stuff. They have all type of stigmas and stereotypes when people be on them about stuff. You know how they people say Mexicans are always packed in one car, and maybe you've seen that before, so maybe that's not a stereotype to you. But whatever the case, man, everybody get made fun of. All nations of people. So they successfully acted like, they successfully got people to think that they are the victims of so much prejudice and violence. Like people just, so-called Holocaust all over again. People just be killing Jewish people just for no reason. And that's just not true. Nobody really cares about them on that level. Matter of fact, they're the most revered and feared and respected group of people on planet Earth because everybody knows their history with banking and entertainment, just business in general, so on and so forth. But it says, by looking at the origins of Jews and their history as outsiders, starting in the ancient world, yeah, Esau was an ancient world, we can begin to understand anti-Semitism and anti-Judaism, two terms for anti-Jewish prejudice. No. We went over the word anti-Semitism before. And anti-Judaism, that's not really a thing. I guess from a standpoint of the so-called Christians and the Jewish people, they kind of go back and forth because Christianity, they believe one thing, and the Jewish people, they believe in one thing. So they kind of go back and forth. But outside of that, I mean, not really. In particular, learning about two lesser-known cases of anti-Jewish violence in ancient times, the genocides of Jews in Alexandria in 115-117 CE, and Christian violence towards Jews in the early Byzantine period, will help you illustrate the underlying forces behind violence against Jews. Okay, so it says some basic facts about Jews, Jewish history, and Judaism. According to the Pew Research Center, about 30% of the world population identifies as Christian, 24% as Muslim, and only a very tiny percentage as Jewish. So you see this small percentage of so-called Jews, right? 0.01%, but they own all this different stuff and they made all these strides, but they make up such a small percent. That should let you know something. So let you know there's more going on to these people than just being successful. Okay, they're being bankrolled. Why is that? Because they understand who they are biblically. Okay, being the Amalekites, the Edomites, that's in rulership in these last days. Okay, our people, man, that make up these small percentages like this, man, we can't even get right. We still don't own nothing, and we make up a larger part than they do. And I'm not saying that in itself, like just in general, that people, can't work hard and accomplish things. And that's not really what I'm saying here. I'm not against, these people being business owners and things like that. But it's when, you control the market and you use it to influence people, especially in wickedness. That's where the problem lies in that. Okay. Look at all these Christians, 2.3 billion people that identify as Christians. That's crazy. How you think you're going to be on the narrow path? You're doing what everybody else doing. All right. In 2015, there were 23 million Christians, or 2.3 billion Christians worldwide, 18 million, 1,800 million Muslims, or 1.8 billion Muslims, and 14 million Jews. In the United States, there are 5.7 million Jews or so, or about 1 or 2 in 100 Americans, while 71% of Americans identify as Christian and 23% identify as unaffiliated. Expect to see this number grow. More and more people are, starting to be unaffiliated with these different religions, because the line is starting to become blurry. All the so-called Christians, a lot of them, they all starting to do the same thing that everybody else is doing. So, people just kind of throwing that around to make themselves feel better. But in these last days, more and more people gonna be like, well, look, I'm not really a Christian. I just, I'm just a free spirit. I believe in the universe. All right, who is Jewish? What does Jewish mean? And this is the point I want to get to. Jews didn't start using the word Jew as a way to identify themselves until after 500 BCE. That's actually true for the most part. In the Hebrew Bible and the Torah, the text that is most sacred to Jews, the term the term used most often is the sons or daughters of Israel. And they have the modern Hebrew here. The term Israelites also appears along with the term Hebrews. Yeah, that y'all don't use. What are the origins of the Jewish people? Asking or answering this question is always tricky, and scholar Stephen Weissman does a great job of discussing this problem in his book. I don't care about your book. Okay, now this is the part I want to get to. Who were the ancient Israelites? Ancient Israelites originated roughly in the territory of modern Israel, also known as the ancient Levant or ancient Canaan, sometime before 1000 BCE. These people were united by a sense of shared ancestry, myth, ritual, and history. Ancient Israelites believed that they were the descendants of three people: Abraham, his son Isaac, and his grandson Jacob. Jacob himself is renamed Israel in the Bible. Yep. In Genesis 35th chapter, around the 8th verse or so. But also, I believe it was Genesis 31, if I'm not mistaken. If I am mistaken, I'll put the correct scripture on the screen, which suggests that Israelites had a shared memory of a name change as part of their history. The myth, this is where I want to get at. So you see here, this person is using the term myth. And also, she used this earlier here. So these people were united by a sense of shared ancestry, myth, ritual, and history. She's using the word myth. Why? Because these people do not believe in anything really in the scriptures. They just try to claim to use the laws of the Torah, the ones that they like the so-called kosher laws or the dietary law, and circumcision, and a few other laws they claim to believe in. But other than that, they don't really believe in the Exodus. They don't really believe in any of the quote unquote stories of the scriptures, which is not really the stories of history. They don't really believe in it. That's why they're using the word myth. Okay. The Israelites that are here today, we actually believe in everything that's in the volume of the book from front to end. Okay. We believe that in its proper understanding, that everything that takes place in the Bible actually happened. Okay, because we view it as a history book, not a myth book. Okay, but that's what these people believe in, showing you how can they be the people of the book? They don't even believe in this book. They don't believe in the Bible, man. They don't. The myth that bound ancient Israelites together was the Exodus narrative. You see, now she's using the word narrative. Okay, narrative is normally a word used when you're referring to a spin on the truth, but not the actual truth. Okay, or something that's fiction. You don't say narrative on something that's just straight out facts, or it's something that lacks context. You know what I mean? That's when you use the word narrative. All right. If you, I went to so and so university. That's you wouldn't. That's just straight out fact. You wouldn't say that I went to university narrative. You just, it just happened. The myth that bound ancient Israelites together was the Exodus narrative from the second book of the Hebrew Bible, a story. See, using the word story about liberation from enslavement in ancient Egypt. Those people do not talk about ancient Egypt or being enslaved in ancient Egypt because they don't truly believe that they were ever in ancient Egypt. When I say these people, the quote unquote Jewish people, they don't believe they were ever there. I promise you that they don't. You may have one here and there that may talk about it, but why do they not go into detail? Every time something comes up, they trying to send somebody to a Nazi camp or a Holocaust survivor and have you talk to them, but they never talk about the actual captivities of the scriptures, like the Egyptian captivity. Okay. Maybe the Babylonian captivity they'll talk about, but that's pretty much it. They don't really believe that these things actually took place like we do. Okay. A quick version of the story. See, a quick version of it. So this is the part, I'll skip this. This is the last part I'll get to here. Regardless of whether the story of Exodus, quote unquote, really happened or not, Israelites in 1000 BCE connected with it. So keep in mind, this person writing this is a quote unquote Jewess. So no, does she make up the the belief system of every quote unquote Jewish person? No, I'm not saying that, but for the most part, this is pretty much how they feel about it. They believe in the opinions of the quote unquote rabbis more than they do the scriptures. Okay, that's why they have the Talmud, so they can have these different quote unquote opinions of breakdowns of scripture instead of the scripture itself. Anyone that relies more heavily on opinions of the scriptures than the scriptures themselves, they cannot be trusted. They cannot be trusted. And that's what I wanted to get at on that point. Now, for another point, as far as why these people, they cannot, they can just not get down with calling themselves Israelites. Let's get Isaiah 63 and 16. Doubtless thou art our father, though Abraham be ignorant of us, and Israel acknowledge us not. Thou, O Lord, art our father, our redeemer. Thy name is from everlasting. I get to it, verse 17. O Lord, why hast thou made us to err from thy ways and harden our heart from thy fear? Return for thy servant's sake the tribes of thine inheritance. Okay, now we get into it, verse 18. The people of thy holiness have possessed it. Okay, the people of thy holiness, the Israelites, have possessed it but a little while. Okay, our adversaries have trodden down thy sanctuary to this day. Our adversaries, those that have us in captivity at this particular moment, have trodden down thy sanctuary. If the sanctuary wasn't trodden down anymore, like the Jewish people will have you believe, then you wouldn't have scriptures like this. You would just, would already be fulfilled. And we know once the scriptures are fulfilled, once the prophecies are fulfilled, or at least most of them, then that means Christ will be, Christ would have already came back now. Verse 19, we are thine. Thou never bearest rule over them. Okay. Most High saying we are thine. We are his. But he never bears rule over them. They were not called by thy name. So-called Jewish people are not called by the name of Israel. Okay. Not called by thy name. The prince of the power of Yasha Allah in the Paleo Hebrew. Okay. It is what it is on that, man. Now, another quick point. Speaking of the Talmud, just quick point here. Now, let's go to this article here says response of anti-Semitic distortions of the Talmud. The Talmud has been a favorite target of anti-Semites. Anti-Semites, it's so funny every time I read it. For at least a millennium. They take quotes out of context, truncate them, shorten them, even fabricate them, never mention it. Never mention it may be just one rabbi's opinion, and never mention what Jewish law or Jewish practice really is. So they have this book, the Talmud, where they just literally go by these so-called rabbis' opinions. It's similar, from my understanding, that's similar to the Quran, where you just have these different, I don't know, what do they call them in Islam? Whoever the writers are, the whatever they call them, they have these different opinions. So you got to go and see which opinion is this and that. That's kind of wild. The prophets in the scriptures in the Bible, it is what it is. Most of them all spoke from the words of the Most High. So you don't have to say, okay, this was his opinion and all of that. It's just all words of the Most High. Understand? But let's go to one of these breakdowns of one of the Talmudic laws. And then on the first, either on the first, second, or third part, I can't remember which one, we went to more of the Talmud, some of the things that are in it. Okay, it says, claim, Jews don't want you to know how evil Judaism is. The Talmud says, a non-Jew who studies the Torah deserves death. That's in Sanhedrin 59a. So in the Talmud, which is the quote-unquote Jewish book of the law, of their laws, which is their interpretations, the Babylonian, the Pharisaic law, according to them, they say a non-Jew who studies the Torah deserves death. And so the full quote shows a wide range of opinions on this subject. But now it says what it says. A non-Jew who studies the Torah deserves death, for it is written. And we can keep going down, but it does not mention priests, Levites, or Israelites was men. Hence, you may learn that even a non-Jew who studies the Torah is a high priest. No, you said what you said. So they're saying that also deserves death is a common expression of disapproval. It's not a call to action. Rabbis may not oppose the death penalty, not mentioned in Torah. Okay, I get that, but my point is, it's all throughout the Talmud and their belief system that they are the people of the book, or at least they try to act like they are. They are God's chosen people. That's what they would try to get you to believe, right? So they can say that. But if you have so-called black people that say the same thing, now you're a radical. You're a radical black Hebrew Israelite. So I have here in the SPLC, we have radical Hebrew Israelites. Since the late 1960s, the radical Hebrew Israelites ideology splintered to form increasingly anti-Semitic, anti-white, anti-LGBTQ, xenophobic, misogynistic sect of groups who preach that they and only they are the true Israelites of the Bible, and perpetuate the anti-Semitic belief that so-called Jews, look, they're saying so-called, have stolen their identity and birthright. Nobody really said birthright. You can't steal a birthright per se. You just stole identity. And really, you just faking an identity for now. So I can go all the way into this. And look, I'm not even saying that. I'm going to be real. Here. Some brothers are, quote unquote, radical with the way that they do things. Some brothers do be out in the corners harassing people. Okay, they should focus more on their own people and educating them instead of, harassing so-called white people in other nations, in my opinion. But the point remains is that if it comes to a so-called black man, if he says he is the Israelite of the Bible, he's considered a radical. And if we say something like the Bible is just written for us, it's a problem. You get put in this category as a radical Hebrew Israelite. But if they do it, it ain't a problem. It's just, it's part of the rabbi's interpretation and all of that. See, they've set the standard of what's true or not. You see, they'll try to, the way they have this here, it's like it's just a belief. It's not based on anything. It's just a radical group, and they're just anti-LGBTQ and all this other stuff. You feel me? So they can say it. It's true. It's somehow based on truth. When all of their people, they can be traced back easily to Poland and Germany and Russia, the so-called Jewish people. Okay, they can be easily traced back to being from these lands. There is no connection to them from the biblical Israelites, but there's plenty of evidence for us. But when we say, we're radicals, designated hate group across the United States, ideology, just general hate. Okay, so I could go more into this, but that's really my only point here. Like I said, some brothers are radical in my opinion, not from their definition, but what I mean by that is some brothers, sisters do be doing do be doing a lot, but in general, no. And don't let in my opinion, in my perspective, I don't think you should let someone categorize you into a Hebrew Israelite, a black Hebrew Israelite. I don't think you should let someone box you in. If I tell someone what my beliefs are, I do not tell them I'm a Hebrew Israelite. So they can say, oh, they look this up. Oh, wow, this is what he believes in. This is what he believes in. I believe in the volume of the book. I believe in the Bible. I believe in the scriptures. Okay, when you phrase it like that, now it's not like a religion or a belief system that's set apart. And the term Hebrew Israelite is not in the Bible at all anyways. Of course you have Hebrew, of course you have Israelite, but it's never put together, not one time in the Bible anyways. Okay, so in a sense that is man-made, just to let y'all know. That is man-made. That has no bearing on brothers and sisters at all. I'm just stating a fact. That's it. So, take it how you want with that. Now, one of the last points, let's go to it, in the book of Revelation, chapter 13. And you know what? For the sake of time, let's just start at verse 4. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? So this beast system, this is referring to the people that are in rulership today. They are the beast. Okay. This last beast that Daniel prophesied in the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, in the 8th chapter, so on and so forth. That would be the last rulership, this Roman Empire, this global economy and society. Okay. And Satan giving power unto this beast. Let's get verse 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. I want to do a lesson on the 42 months here soon, but for now, let's focus on the rest of it here in the verse 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. So the mouth that's given unto the beast to speak great things and blasphemies is referring to the media, is referring to everything about the media or the outlets that these people have to say blasphemies, like they are the people of the book. They are, well, they don't say the ancient Israelites, but they say they're Jewish. They're by association.
basically implying that they are the Israelites. That's a blasphemy. That's speaking great things out of the mouth. And that mouth has, it has a great extent and great reach. If you can control the media, you can literally control people's minds. The average person, and when I say average, literally, 80, 90% of people, they are solely influenced by the media. They really do not have their own thoughts. They think they have their own thoughts, but they really don't, to be honest, because, and I'm including myself here, I'm going to speak for myself. I had to come into the knowledge because I took exactly what was told to me at face value. And most people do. They're going to take exactly what is told to them at face value because the media controls exactly how everyone thinks. And they have control of these things. When I say they, the so-called Jewish people. Okay, this does not fit the Israelites of the Bible, but yet it fits the beast, the last and final, the fourth beast in the book of Revelation, in the book of Daniel. Okay, that's who they fit more the description of. They identify with the beast, the dragon, not the Israelites. Okay, that's going to make war with the saints and overcome them. Matter of fact, speaking of, let's get verse 6 while we're here. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High. That's what they do constantly. Okay, that's why, you have this person here, on average, they, Black Lives Matter, say her name, abolish ICE, and all this other stuff. They speak words against the Most High constantly. Okay, blasphemy against the Most High, blasphemy his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven, his people, his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. Okay, let's get an example. Now, we look here. Kanye, in this interview, he breaks down the name of 41 media companies with primarily Jewish executives. So let's get this here.
CBS News, Columbia Pictures, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sports, Fox News, Washington Post, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MTV Music Television, Nickelodeon, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Comedy Central, NBC Entertainment, Google, what else do we have? Disney, ABC Kids and Family, YouTube, Los Angeles Times, Discovery Network, Paramount Pictures, Facebook.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg, although I'm not sure if he identifies as being so-called Jewish, but he was allegedly brought up in a so-called Jewish household. Okay.
Huffington Post, Yahoo, Marvel, Hulu, Cosmopolitan, Time, Touchstone, Associated Press, Pixar, Miramax, HBO, New York Post, Lucas Arts, MSNBC, DreamWorks Animation. Now, the thing is, I skipped over maybe about 5 of them because it was just unclear on this list. The red are the executives that are Jewish.
You see that? So most of the media is owned and controlled by the so-called Jewish people. Okay. Most of them. And he just used like the main media outlets. We haven't even gone into, the major record labels like Universal, Sony, okay, which are all owned, either founded or owned currently by so-called Jewish people. Okay. And what does that mean? All the garbage music that we have out here where brothers, all they do is talk about, smashing somebody else's girl and killing niggas and, designer this and that to get people's mind to stay at a low level. And now all the sisters, all they do is shake that, that's all they talk about is being harlots, being whores. That is all propagated and all planned by the so-called Jewish man. Okay. It is what it is. And no one could watch this and say, oh, this is quote unquote anti-Semitism. It's just the truth. Okay, here's the proof here. Now it's not just me just saying this, it's just facts. Okay, the music that's put out now, I mean, it's done for a reason. It's not just because, oh, that's what people want to hear. That's, I saw something where Meek Mill was saying that he was paid more to put out like garbage music like that. What we call quote unquote hip hop, and we proud of it. We call that our culture. This is the culture. Talk about robbing niggas and killing them and all of that. Now, if we had this music where we didn't take it serious, it was just literally artwork, but nobody was actually doing it, then it would be a different story. Still, we need a lot less of just explicit lyrics like that. I'm not saying the exact same, but if it was just art, it would be different. But we look up to these people way too much as a people, to what Jay-Z and all these different artists, the new guys too. We look up to these artists and we aspire to be like them. And well, not aspire to be like them, excuse me, aspire to be like what they claim they're like in their music, when none of these cats do none of the stuff that they say they do. Young Jeezy, he didn't came out and said, he did none of the stuff he talked about. Future, he don't even, drink or, pop no pills. And that's all he talk about, pop a perk and all this different stuff. But, our people are impressionable right now because we're not in rulership. We have no one to look forward to for inspiration. We think it's cool, to quote unquote be from the streets and all of that. So it allows us to look at these people as the paragon for success because that's what's pushed to us on the media. So we see all these different rappers and entertainers, and that's all we aspire to be, or we think we can be, because it's all we see. Everybody else is considered lame. You're an accountant or something like that. Those people are not pushed. So those professions are not pushed. All we try to do is be, all we strive to be as a people, or some type of athlete or entertainer, and we look up to those people. But this was all done by design. This is that great mouth, okay, speaking blasphemies against the Most High's people, his sanctuary, okay, that's been trodden down right now. And right here, I have Jews in history of American film. Okay, Jews played a prominent and often leading role in much of the historical development in the film industry in the United States. So the so-called Jews pretty much started Hollywood, excuse me. Hollywood. I was trying to say Hollywood, came out a little funny, but yeah, it's Hollywood anyways. Okay. They started Hollywood. And why did they do that? Because that's part of that great mouth. Okay. To be able to sustain their rulership, this is one of the things they had to do. And to be able to, throw out their witchcraft on the people to keep our people at a low level and keep their people at bay too. They use the media for that. These are all spells, all witchcraft, okay, that they put on the people. That's all it is. All these different movies. If you break down most movies, there are esoteric, there are demonic symbology and, so on and so forth, allusions to different pagan deities in, dang near every major movie that there is an underlying meaning behind it, whether you can see it or not, but it hits your subconscious. There's a reason why so many people, when they're spiritually dead, is because, they've been, ingrained with all these different messages, all these different demonic spirits just jumping out on us, man. It's not just for no reason. It's not because your brain can't comprehend it. It seeps down into your spirit. Okay, all these different, spells and things that they have in these movies and on the music too, by the way, when we're speaking of that, they got different things, jumping out in this music too. That's why you have to be careful with how much of this stuff you consume. You really got to be careful with that. Like some of the beats, like one beat I always say, the song, which I actually like the beat, to be honest, but um, the song with Drake and 21 Savage. What is it? Even when even Drake say something demonic on there, this all guys planning, man, you can't stand it. Well, if the something like if the details in the if the devil's in the detail, then I'm satanic is what he said on that song right there. You listen to the beat, it has this, this demonic kind of sound to it. And a lot of the different beats, they have these different demonic sounds to them if you really listen to it. It's all by design. And who's behind it? The so-called Jewish people. It is what it is. It's not me being quote unquote anti-Semitic. It's just a fact. It says here, let's get straight to it. Many of the men who created Hollywood were Jewish. Why is that? So why is Christ coming back for these people? They own Hollywood. What else more do you need? What do you need saving from? Because some people making fun of you. Like, get out of here, man. Adolf Zucker, one of the 3 founders of Paramount Pictures, was a Jew from Hungary. Again, these people are all from Europe. Okay. Hungary or, Poland, Germany. That's where these people are really from. Another Jew from Hungary, William Fox, founded Fox Film Corporation. Louis B. Mayer, born in Russia, although he was never quite sure where, co-founded Metro Goldwyn Mayer. I think Kanye mentioned him. With another Jew, this one with parents from Austria, Marcus Loeb. And Warner Brothers was founded by the brothers Warner, Harry, Albert, Sam, and Jack, 3 of whom was born in Krasnosilk, Poland. Jack was born in Canada. So you see these major entertainment companies all founded by so-called Jews, with David Smirnoff, a Russian Jew who founded RKO. These were the 5 major studios of Hollywood's golden age. In addition, 2 of the 3 major studios of the time, Universal Pictures and Columbia Pictures. Universal, you know where they get that universal from? The word Catholic means universal. All right, or general. That's what the word Catholic means. And they named this Universal for quote unquote Babylon. When you look at Genesis, the 11th chapter, you see Babylon had all nations. Okay, Universal. That's why they call this Universal Studios. Okay, and if we look at First Maccabees, the 1st chapter, go down here to verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, universal, Catholic, general. Verse 42, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Okay. So that's why they name these things. Every name has a pagan resonance to it too. All right. Columbia Pictures, that's named after the mother goddess. Okay. The Holy Spirit or the dove on the left-hand path, not the Holy Spirit of the scriptures, not the righteous Holy Spirit, but what they call the Holy Spirit on the left-hand path. Okay. Columbia, meaning the dove. All right. I believe in Latin it's Columbia or Columb. That's why you have the Columbine high school shooting. I went into that in the lesson on Halloween, I believe. Okay. But there's so much symbology, in these different names of these companies and their logos. It goes on forever. That could be its own separate lesson. Okay, but they're all named for a reason because these people, by the way, that's what they truly believe in. Now, a lot of the people that are Jewish, they don't even know what they believe in. They don't understand what they truly believe in or what it's really about. But on the highest level, I promise you, all these people are high level Satanists, just in my perspective, in my opinion. All right. Were founded and run by Jews. You see? So, we could keep going in, but these people created Hollywood. They control the music right now, especially for so-called black people. All right, there's a reason for all of this. That's that mouth that Revelation 13 was speaking of. Okay, speaking blasphemies. All right. And we'll just end here. I think we've gone long enough. It's pretty, it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going over more points, but I might be back with part 5 with some more, because I really want to go more into the creation of the state of Israel. So we might do that next time. I just want to pop in here and go over a few more points that I don't believe I covered in the first 3 parts. All right, but let's end here with Zechariah, chapter 13 and verse 1. In that day there shall be a fountain opened in the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. Verse 2. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land. So the names of the idols have not been cut off from the land. Okay. That's what's supposed to happen when our people are placed back in the land. All the names of the idols are supposed to be cut out, but they're not. Okay. And they shall no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirit to pass out of the land. There's still unclean spirits, the prophets, false prophets in the land, the quote unquote rabbis. They all got to go, man. Not by my opinion. I'm just reading the book here. All right. You know what? We could go into more. That's pretty much it. Lord willing, this was edifying. And until the next time, I bid everyone a mighty shalom.